Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It's Thursday night, I believe. Let me just adjust the camera a little bit, fit my massive head into it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday night. That means it's WOR. That is World Online Racing. It's myself, Andy Owen, and I am joined yet again by the one and the only SJ, or the Governor, as he would like to be referred to. And tonight, SJ, we are heading off to Singapore. Welcome in.
Obviously, last week was a phenomenal race, and then obviously this week is going to be even better. Obviously, with a track that's extremely narrow, difficult to overtake, and it's all about patience, my friend.
Yes, we say it every week, don't we? Patience and composure on what is an incredibly difficult track, which does have a propensity to provide us with one or two spots of rain, as we've probably discovered over the last two game cycles, probably longer than that. We do end up getting a little bit of rain. Do you fancy us for some rain tonight?
Going to be around about 90%. There's rain at Singapore, isn't it? It normally just rains completely, shucks it down in the first part, and then obviously going into the second part throughout the race, it then starts to dry off. Or you could have a completely wet race, and in Singapore, the car is going to be sliding everywhere, which means then your braking points, you're going to have to brake a lot earlier. And and then it's a domino effect if the other car hits the other car behind. So everyone has to be very, very careful on their braking points in the wet conditions, especially at Singapore.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good track. One of my favourites. Yes, it's narrow, which makes for some tight racing. But also, it's got a really good mix for me, this track, of straights where you can make the pass, certainly that first DRS zone, down towards turn number, what would that be, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably turn 5, I think. That, you've got the home straight, of course, and then there's the straight down towards the final chicane. So there's three good opportunities to pass. It is narrow. You're right, absolutely spot on. The drivers have to be careful. Speaking of drivers, let's take a quick look at the standings as they are at the moment. We've got a new championship leader, SJ.
Yes, Luca. Luca obviously got a really, really good result. Obviously last week in Coda, and it was a little bit of a mixture between him and Vettel and I think it was the Kick Saubers as well. But the two McLarens as well, they did very, very well. But no, really, really good for really, really good for Luca, and also Snipes and BRTJ. There, who has actually unfortunately departed. So Liam Hardman takes that third spot at the moment, which is getting really juicy at the top there, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Good to see a good mix of results on that first two races at Shanghai and Kota, which I guess if we take a look quickly at the constructors' standings, we'll see it's relatively close. Kick Sauber and Haas out in front at the moment on 49 and 41 points respectively. With Vettel and Snipes picking up really good points, actually. They've been relatively consistent, a podium in each race between the two so far. And then, of course, Gav Roach, who wasn't here last week, is here this week. So he'll be in that second half seat with the new championship leader, Luca N. Aston Martin. So far, Mattia Manga's picked up the final point in both weeks. Are we going to see something different from them this week?
To be honest with you, I really don't know. Obviously, last week it was a difficult week for them, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think obviously they're definitely going to want to improve. Only obviously 2 points in the standings at the moment, and obviously the other driver with 0 at the moment. So I think they're going to want to try and get some more points. So obviously finishing 10 consistency in the last 2 weeks. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in Singapore. But I think the ones to watch out for last week are the McLaren and also the two Kick Saubers. They worked very, very well together, especially Vettel or Dettel, or however you want to call it. Had a great race. Got early on to a few little collisions there, got spun, but managed to push himself all the way through to get that P3 position, which I don't know how he done it last week, but yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Good stuff. We did lose a driver. I don't know who it was. Dear. No, it might have been somebody they just kicked, to be fair. So let's take a quick look then. So get rid of the constructors standings and let's just take a quick look at the track map then. We're just heading into a short qualifying session here, but this is 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, and 19 testing turns. A couple of DRS zones for us to be aware of. Not a great deal of elevation up there towards turns 10, 11, 12, and 13 is where we have some elevation, but like we've said, a real tricky track with a real test for the drivers tonight. And it has to be said, SJ, we talked about having a little bit of weather, didn't we? Let's just zoom in then, because needless to say, at the start of this short qualification session with 15 drivers in the lobby, we see rain. It doesn't look particularly heavy, and I don't see any puddles in the pit lane. You'll notice it's a very narrow pit lane, everybody, as well. So, yeah, we have a narrow track, we have a narrow pit lane, but there is rain in the lane, and we are hoping that the drivers will be able to navigate their way safely around this short qualifying session. What's your take on the quali session here then, SJ? We talk about it being a narrow track.
Yes. In these conditions, I think it's going to be very, very difficult. I think the drivers are also going to have to be aware. Obviously, those fast straights are going to be really, really good, but then obviously, like I said, the braking points, they're really going to have to watch out there. I think it's going to be very interesting, and I think we could see a few little spinners, but I think the guys will be quite cautious doing their first banker, setting the time, and then going into, depending on how the weather produces for the remainder of the qualifying, I reckon the laps will get better and better, and obviously, but some times will get quicker and quicker. And I don't know if we are going to see this rain disappear in qualifying, or if it's going to be going into the race also.
Yeah, an interesting selection in terms of tyres so far. Just looking down the grid, we talked last week about, well, certainly we've talked at some point during the course of the season about the difference between the wet and the intermediate tyres. And the fact that once a dry line forms, then the inter is the way to go. We've had that conversation between ourselves on quite a few occasions across a couple of different leagues. This one and your league, obviously. It doesn't look like wet weather conditions. However, the game is putting the cars on the wet, and then the drivers are making the decision to move to the inters.
Yeah, it's a real tough one. It's like a balance of 50-50. I think if you've got the puddles on the track, then obviously the wet tyres are the ones to go for. If you can't see the puddles, then sometimes the inters can be quicker than the wets. And like you're saying, with the dry line forming very, very quickly, it makes the cars a lot slower going on the wet compound tyres. But I think the interesting part here, 15 minutes to go, obviously into the qualifying session, is to see what the time difference is going to be between the two compounds of obviously wet and intermediates.
Yeah, and the first guy out, and I will put you on board with him in the Williams. It's BRT Thomas, and he's chosen the intermediate, mate. On you go.
Okay, right. Well, BRT Thomas starting his first lap, coming down. As you can see, moving over to the right-hand side as much as he can to get as much grip as he can on the traction. As you can see there, just due to the conditions at the moment, pushing him way off probably the racing where he needs to be, but taking the first corner nicely done so far. So this is an intermediate time at the moment, but as you can see, he's really pushing that car around the outside there, sliding around into turn 2, turn 3, then coming down. This would be a DRS, it's in the dry, so you can get a lot more speed coming down here. Running onto the curbs, you normally see it running onto the curb, coming out onto the exit, turn 4 times 5. I think it's then into turn 6 there very nicely. You'll see it push over to the right to get a really nice exit coming out onto the left there. And you can see still straggling with the car, the back end going out. And this is where you've got to be so careful. You've really got to ease into the corner, try and push over to the left, get quite close to the wall, and then get quite close into the curb. But the curb can really move you off balance there. Then going into the nice hairpin, going on to about turn 8, turn 9, and very nicely done here. Another part of the track will drive with the DRS and all the way down this main straight, then braking very early, getting onto the curb road here, and this is the new part of Singapore that you've seen. Normally the tunnel was there, but now it's just full swing all the way through, acceleration all the way through, going up to the last final couple of corners into the main straight. But look, he just cannot get the car to go around those corners. Here will be very interesting. Will the car slide or will it ease into the corner? Very easy to invalidate. Nice little lap there, but that's a 141.025, so nearly a 141 flat intermediate for BRT Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. The next car across the line was Brent in the Red Bull with a 144, so 141 feels pretty good right now. Got a couple of other cars, got a Ferrari coming round. Is that Lucas? Lucas invalidates. Surely, no, he doesn't invalidate somehow. He was way off the track, and he was on the wets with a 143.3. So, not much of a difference between the two tyre compounds so far as a Haas goes over the line. That's G10 Grav Roach also on the wet tyre with a 144. 142 is Snipes in the kick to go second fastest. Couple more cars crossing the line. Luca N and Ismail in third and fourth respectively there. Then we've got a Mercedes coming around. That'll be NLR NASCAR. He fires around the final turn, keeps it just about valid. Domsey's disqualified from the session, facing the wrong way. So that is unfortunate for the V-Carb driver, as NLR NASCAR did go fifth fastest. So looking at the charts at the minute, as Chad suggests, the intermediate tyre looks a bit quicker, and it's just a real good lap from Snipes.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously in the 41s for Thomas, and then most of every single person from P3 all the way down in the 42s and 43s as well. Some of these guys may not have all their setup. They could be looking at a drive track. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But obviously the two intermediates at the moment at the top, sorry, three intermediates, Liam Hardman and Snipes on those 42s. I reckon we are going to see quicker. Obviously we've got Liam in the 41 and the 2, so there's 2 tenths off Thomas at the moment. So a pretty good banker, and there you go. And the track will start to get really good into temperature as well, as Dedal does a 140.5, so way off the 41s already, and we're only 11 minutes into point.
Yeah, 11 minutes in. There looks to be a dry line forming already, so the guys on the wet tyres will be ditching those blue rims into the ether and be jumping on the green rimmed intermediate tyre, of course, which does have a little bit more grip. Still has tread, of course, in this wet weather, but has a little bit more grip. We can see certainly from the onboard camera that we are getting a little bit more of a dry line forming. Brent, Mr. Chris, and the two Red Bulls making their way round. I'm wondering if people have got plenty of fuel in and they'll be doing a few runs, or whether or not we're going to see, yeah, we see the Mercedes of NASCAR dive into the pit lane. I say dive, slide into the pit lane, and he will be throwing on the green rims, the intermediate tyres, to get himself out. There's 10.5 minutes left then in this quali session, and intermediates looks like the way forward, as now Snipes has thrown some intermediate tyres on. He'll be coming out. Luca N has gone purple in Sector 1 on his second run. A 142.6 for him initially on his banker run. Be interesting to see now what he puts down, SJ.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be really interesting as well. Obviously, you're going to see those cars come off onto those wet tyres and get onto those inters as well. You can see the top 5 on those inters, and then you've got a little bit of a gap there between Ismail and Luca. 2 different sets of tyres at the moment, but yeah, I reckon we're going to see all green tyres as well. Obviously, BRT Thomas back at it again. Obviously, it was the first one to set the time, so it'll be very interesting to see how he goes and in improvement there. But yeah, it's not raining as hard, and it is starting to form a dry line, so I reckon we are going to see going into the 39s and the 40s maybe. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but we have got a 145.17 by Mr. Chris, and great drive then by him so far. But yeah, going to be very interesting to see how it's going to start off with, there you go, and into the 39s. So I just said 139s, and it's a 139.003, so I think we could even see 38s here.
Yeah, I think so, mate. There was a second. He was 3 seconds up, Luca, in the first sector. So that's what's done it. We've got Liam Hardman now heading down towards this final chicane. Seems to get better grip under braking, and therefore a good exit out of that chicane now. Coming up for the final turn. And again, there seems to be a lot more grip now on that dry line. This looks like a quick one as well. Yeah, 39.7 for Liam Hardman. To go 7/10 behind Luca, and then on the front row. Who else do we have out? We've got Brent. Brent he's on a slow lap. He's invalidated. BRT Thomas just starting one, mate. So, on board with BRT Thomas. He's invalidated in turn one.
He's
wow.
just invalidated, just coming out as well. So that's not the best there. 8 minutes to go. So he's going to go back in. He doesn't really want to waste these intermediates unless it does dry up. They do go onto the dry tyres. Just letting you know, Andy, Don Mizzi, he actually in DSQ due to a game glitch, so not due to himself, but due to the game, and EA causing more problems for drivers at the moment. So that's unfortunate. And Manio, at the moment, we've got a Mercedes there. Looks like it's being ghosted on quality at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see what's going on there. But Luca, and he's invalidated as well. So there's a few invalidations. So even though the guys are getting the grip back with the tyres, because it really does slow down the bits there. Mistakes, and we saw this last week in Coda. We saw a lot of mistakes earlier on, and we're seeing the same again in Singapore at the moment. But the guys have set times, and that's the main thing we said minutes ago.
Yeah, most people set a time then, other than Domitzi, of course, and Mattia Manga, the Aston Martin, yet to set a time. OVL Lucas in the Ferrari now. He's just about to cross that second sector marker, and he's over 3 seconds up, so that'll push him towards the 1:40 flat time. So if he can get some good grip through sector 3, he'll be challenging for that front row as well. All about the braking point down into the chicane. Brakes a little bit too early, perhaps. Had to readjust, lose a little bit of speed going through there, but seems to handle the final quarter really well, feathering that throttle. And 38.5 for Lucas gets him onto the front row in a provisional pole position. Great lap from the Ferrari, SJ.
Yeah, great lap on him. It's a really, really good lap, 38.5. So that's really hard to beat. But I just was on board with Deddle, and he's coming out of the pits here, looking good, really ready to start. Doing his out lap, getting onto his right. He's eliminated straight away. 6 minutes to go. So some of the guys really feeling that second stint going out on the fresh tyres. So we've also got Luca as well, who did. I think he did invalidate as well. So there's quite a few, and he's on an out lap at the moment. But 1:38.534 is the time to beat for Lucas. Currently with 6 minutes to go.
Quick lap incoming. Here it is. It's GT10 Philly with a 38.1. Again, another driver who was over 3 seconds up, and he's bested by GT10 Gavroche, who's then bested by Ismail, who's then bested by Snipes. It's all going off here in this qualification session, SJ. Mattia Manga doing a job as well, up into P3 with a 38. It's getting quicker and quicker.
Yeah, they're getting to the 37s now. BBC at 36 is really, really starting to warm up. And the guys really starting to get, there you go. I've said it again.
36.
I'm sitting here with the crystal ball handy at the moment. I'm getting it right every time. Are we going to see 35s? Are they going to surprise us with 35? These guys are really pushing in the times. And this is the beauty of wet conditions. It changes the whole dynamics of the grid going into the closing stages. And these guys will probably make, if the weather is looking into a dry race, these guys will just obliterate as many of the intermediate tyres as they can, so which makes it even more interesting. So there is a 36.7 currently at the moment. I'm just trying to see who's coming around onto a lap. We've got Mr. Chris going into P2 with 37.2. It looks like we've got GTM Philly, he's done a lap. We've then got Haas of just double checking there. Of GT10 Gavroche as well, who looks like he is going to be going again. He's got full 100%. So, Andy, I'll let you take it away with G10 Gavroche on a flying lap for our audience.
Yeah, well, I'm just having a quick look here at Luca. Luca is on a flag on purple in Sector 1. Only 0.2 quicker than his initial time. So it is a Haas, it's just the other one. So we'll skip to the other half shortly. So into Sector 2. Deep into Sector 2 then goes Luca. Currently sat in P11, the championship leader. He does have a car in front of him, but it is ghosted, and I think it's a Red Bull. I've seen a lot of ghosted Red Bull that appears to have been Brent, our lobby host. Hopefully that's not going to hold up Luke as he makes the sprint down towards that second sector. Yeah, he's pulled out of that lap. He's 1.6 seconds to the good, but he looks like he's going to pull out of it, I would have thought. No, he's still actually using his overtake, so he is going to go all the way down to this final chicane. He was 1.6 seconds to the good, so that would take him, what, to the mid-37s. Unless he's managed to make some hay while the sun shines in this final sector. Yes, he has. It's a 1:36.5 for the Haas. Where's Gav then? Oh, Gav.
He's actually going to the pits.
Yeah, he's going to the pits. NASCAR, the Mercedes of NASCAR, has lost it towards the back end of Sector 2, ploughed it into a wall, and he's done.
It is indeed. Liam Hardman, though, actually struggling with the times. He's done a 1:39.784, very, very quick last week, but yeah, the McLaren seems to be struggling currently at the moment, but we don't know if that is just because he's just warming up those tyres, getting used to the track. He is on an out lap, so he'll be the next one to go. Currently, we've got 2 minutes to go, and we're seeing someone get onto the soft compound tyres in the pits there. Deadall has switched over to the softs.
Interesting.
So, is it? Yeah, it is very interesting. I've not seen DRS disabled or enabled yet. Well, sorry, enabled. But we'll have to wait and see as Liam Hardman's got 2 minutes to go. He is sitting in at 1:39.784. He is the last. He is going to be the first one on the lap, and he's will let me take it over with the McLaren.
Yeah, he comes down to the chicane, and this will be the last chance saloon for the McLaren man with 1 minute 50 left in the session. And he is at it right now then. 1 minute 44 left, and here is Liam Hardman for his last qualification run. Can the McLaren go? A little mistake into turn 1. It feels like the guys are trying to turn in a little bit too early. He goes deep, therefore, into turn number 3. And on the way down towards turn 4, the quick right-hander, which again would normally be a DRS zone. There you'd have it, DRS all the way down this, straight through this quite shallow right-hander, but then of course into that 90-degree. Back-to-back 90-degree corners, as the first one goes left, second one goes right. He did set a purple sector 1 though, so this looks like a good start, certainly for the McLaren, as things are definitely drying out, and we will have to jump on with Dettel on these soft tyres to see if he's going to take a huge chunk out of this. You know, normal qualification session with all the DRS zones open would expect something in the 27s, maybe 26s. But here comes Liam Hardman round that tricky hairpin. Just gets himself straight before applying the full throttle and the overtake button all the way down towards that second section. 2.7 seconds to the good then. That would take him to a 37 flat. So we'll be looking for more. We'll be looking for more in this final sector. And it's dry now. It is dry. The rain has stopped. The track is dry. We'll have to go and find Mr. Dettel in a moment, and I'll let you run with him, mate. But what can Liam Hardman do then in this final corner? Can he get himself up onto pole position? He can. 35.8. Up into the 35s. I'll go and find Dettel for you, mate, and you can run with him. Just starting his lap. On you go.
Yeah, on the soft tyres, he's actually stuffed it though. He's actually gone too wide, and it does not look like those tyres are. It looks like it's dry, but it definitely looks like he's struggling. We'll have to wait and see if he is going to make some time up at the moment, but the 35.092.
Oh, there it is.
And he's actually gone into the wall. So it wasn't soft compound tyres. Looked dry on the screen, looked dry in front of the audience, but for the drivers, no, it is not. It is still intermediate tyres. So that track is still damp in some areas as well. And then also it could dry up right at the closing stages, which will make it even more difficult for the intermediate. So obviously Vettel thinking he got that completely right and he got that completely wrong, and that's fallen into the wall, unfortunately. So that's very unfortunate for him. We are on board with the closing stages. If you want me to take it away, Andy, I will. For the rest of the guys, or I'll let you do it.
Yeah, you go for it, mate. I'm on with BRT Thomas just towards the final chicane.
Yep, so we've got Philly coming across the line on his last set. He goes P2, 132. 4, 2, 6, 7. And then we've got Maria, then we've got the 135, 3, 7, 8. We're going to have the pass of Luca going into P2. Then BRT Thomas goes into 34. So the intermediate's definitely changing in all different directions there. He takes the pole position as it stands at the moment. We do have more people coming around the corner. We've also got Brent there crossing the line. He stays P9. We've also then got Snipes across the line staying P11. We've got Liam Haddon pushing himself up to P8. And then we've got Mr. Chris, who has actually invalidated. That is all of your drivers done for qualifying at Singapore.
Yeah, that's all she wrote. And my memory serves me correctly. It was BRT Thomas. There he is at the top of the standings on pole position. Then 4/10 clear of Luca and the championship leader in the Haas, who's then in front of GT10 Philly. Mattia Manga on the second row alongside him. Good progression for the Aston Martin. Two Alpines finding formation on row number 3. It's Ismail and S95 Dome with Gav Roach and Liam Hardman 7 and 8. P9 it's Brent. P10 Mr. Chris. Snipes in P11 with NASCAR P12. Lucas P13. Dettel P14 and P15 after his disqualification. It's Domitzi.
What a very, very interesting qualifying session we had there. And he obviously going from intermediates, then thinking to dries, and also the Inters still doing the best and actually improving from a 39 earlier on all the way to a 35, 34. So really good shout there. And obviously BTR, Thomas, the only ones in the 34s in P1.
Yeah, really good stuff from him. Really good stuff. We will have a race start of sorts. And just for comedy value, we'll let you watch it. And then what we'll do is we'll take a little break, play some adverts as the guys restart the lobby. Well, certainly restart the grid, should I say, for the proper start of the race, which is what we do here in WOR. We'll have a little bit of carnage into turn 1, no doubt. And there goes a Haas. Boom. There we go. A little bit of comedy crashing as the guys set themselves up to go when we rejig the grid at the beginning of the race. So let's get back to the camera then. Yeah, really interesting qualification session. That it was just getting quicker and quicker and quicker all the time. SJ, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were. And I was actually gearing up for Dettel's lap. I thought obviously those soft compound tyres, they look dry, and it can be quite deceiving, can't it? You've seen it before. It looks dry and then it's not, and he was definitely struggling and unfortunately went straight into the wall. And it would have been very interesting if that lap would have actually worked for him. You could see going into the first corner that he completely missed the corner and went straight off, so it looked like it was going to be trouble there. And then the guys deciding to stay on the Inters, and sometimes you take that gamble and sometimes it pays off and then sometimes it doesn't, and it's all she wrote.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a brave gamble, and again, this game, when the track looks dry after rain, it is not. That is just one of those things that this game has thrown at us. One of the many things that this game has thrown at us. I've been a victim of that myself at Canada some time ago, where it looked like the track was dry, and when I'd gone out on a set of mediums, and it was like driving on ice. It was horrific. NASCAR picked up a 3-second penalty. That's the race results. The race results of the famous non-start race. That's why I was momentarily confused there, SJ. But yeah, we'll start looking at the grid. The guys will put the grid together right now. And whilst they're doing that, I am going to play you guys an advert from one of our sponsors. We'll be back very shortly. There you go then, ladies and gentlemen. That was a couple of adverts from our sponsors, Next Level Racing and Gridfinder here at WOR. That's World Online Racing, and it's Thursday night, which means this is Tier 3 in the console division, and we are tackling Round 3, and we're at Singapore. We had some rain in a qualification session that just saw people get quicker and quicker throughout the course of that 18 minutes, and it was BRT Thomas who bested everybody else to find himself on pole position for this race, SJ. Luca, championship leader. Do you think he'll be happily placed in that top 5?
Yeah, I think it's a good position for him to be in. I think Vettel will be a little bit disappointed on his performance, obviously going on those soft compound tyres. But he's still obviously, I think, in P11 as well, so still can make up his way going in through the race. It's going to be very interesting to see how long it's going to take before people start to make manoeuvres. It is very, very difficult to overtake here in any conditions. Just the track itself, very narrow. And you do have that powerful DRS zone though in sector 2 and obviously in sector 1 as well. So we'll probably look to see some overtakes going on there. But no, look, I think we'll be happy with that performance. But he's got competition behind him. So, and I think that's the thing you've got to look at. You know, Liam Hardman last week did fantastic. And he'll be one to watch out for as well. So yeah, I would be looking at my rear view mirrors if I was Luca.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the drivers' standings again as we just wait for the lobby to restart. Obviously, with Vettel and his experiment on that soft tire, he said there in chat, you know, it is a dry line, but he went off the dry line and got all out of shape. But looking at the standings again, you know, you've got Vettel currently sat in P5, Liam Hardman P4, BRT Thomas P6. So, you know, those guys will be looking certainly to be attacking those guys in front of them. It'd be interesting to see how long it takes for us to settle down into a race pace. Once, hopefully, we get through turns 1, 2, and 3 intact with no yellow flags and no spiraling bits of carbon fiber through the air. So it'll be interesting to see if we can make it through that first few corners. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a track I enjoy driving. It's a good test mentally as well as physically in terms of the long straights, but also those more technical areas where you've got all those 90-degree lefts and rights, which can be a real challenge with the walls being so close. Certainly if it's wet.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually the opposite. I prefer the old layout. I like the tunnel. I thought there was a lot more incidents going into that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I can tell you about an incident. I was leading a race in MRL, and I checked my MFD for nothing more than a second. And I missed my braking point going into tunnel, and a wheel dropped off. And I went from leading the race to not finishing the race. It was... I shouted a rude word at the screen and at myself. But I do love this track. I prefer it without the tunnel, I can't lie. But yeah, I do love the track. It gives you a little bit of an...
I love the other one.
I mean, this is a great one that if we could have this as a 100% race, a real test of endurance.
You never know. We'll see what the calendar brings up for next season. But no, like I said, I do like the old layout. I think the old layout was really good. You used to see like most of the guys try and go 2x2 through the tunnel, and it just wouldn't work, and you had to be really careful as well. So you're removing it's given that more smoothness going into Sector 3 as well, which is probably what they want for Singapore at the moment. So yeah, I don't mind. We've lost actually a few people. Everyone's left. So I think we're having some lobby issues at the moment. Are we looking at
a restart
of the whole lobby?
It's looking that way, my friend. Let's have a quick look then.
I think it is. So I will back out and then get a quick drink before we get underway once again, Andy.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Everybody, it's a good time to take a break right now. If you want to take a break, go and fill up your water. Go and get yourself, or your beer if you're drinking beer. Go and get yourself sorted, and we'll have you back in this race as quickly as we possibly can. Just trying to get myself out of the... Yeah, cheers, Chris. Thank you very much, pal. It's making me do the fan zone stuff on the game, so bear with me, everybody. I'll come and find you, SJ. Never on the list. There you go. I just skipped right to the end of the invite list, and there you were. Job done. Got to stop taking risks. This is the third time I've qualified outside the top 10 when I had pace for pole. Well, some would argue that taking risks is a good thing, Vettel. I liked the call of going on the softs because you're absolutely spot on. The track looked real dry and the rain had stopped. So I liked the call. Unfortunately, in practice, it didn't quite come across quite as well as it did in theory. But it's a long season, my friend. You can make a few mistakes early doors. You're still sat in a reasonable position in the championship. So, yeah, I think, all in all, it isn't a bad idea to take some risks. Don't forget your setups, everybody. Now we have started the new lobby. That is the main thing. Right, I am going to have myself a tiny little break while we're getting the lobby set up. And I'm going to put it back onto broadcast starting. So bear with us.
Singapore. So Marina Bay. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great one. I think, like with the dry weather as well, we're going to see a lot more pace, a lot more acceleration, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be really, really good. It just depends if Luca is going to be able to hold on in going into turn one and turn two, and then he's going to come under extreme pressure on lap two with the DRS. So we could have a leader change very, very quickly. But like I said, very, very difficult to get moves done. And get overtakes done here. You've really got to time it to perfection. So we are going to have to see a lot of patience. We could see a lot of front wings disappearing. We'll have to wait and see. But no, looking forward to it, and can't wait to see what the guys have got installed for round 3 this week. You probably start on the mediums, and then get onto the softs at the end there. Obviously the hard compound tires. The hard compound tires to the end, not the softs. Yeah, the hard compound tires here are very interesting, but it's a tire going to take a little bit of time to get up to temp very, very quickly, and you don't want to lose that time. So probably start on the mediums and then go to the hards to the end. Keep off to the softs, and unless there's a safety car within like 5-6 laps to go, as they'll just disappear and they'll just deteriorate very, very quickly. So yeah, but could see a few guys maybe starting on the hards and giving it a go. We saw that last week with a few drivers pushing the boundaries with those hards quite a way, and then obviously we saw a safety car, and then that changed the whole dynamics again. So yeah, I'd go mediums. Over to you. Yeah, obviously Ferrari have got an extra teammate, which is really good for them, and obviously with CPRT Thomas there, the leader, starting off on those hard compound tyres with Luca onto those mediums. You've got obviously CPRT Thomas, Gavroche, Vernie, Lucas, and Domizzi all on those hard compound tyres. Will it take a little bit of time for those tyres to get up to 10? Will Lucas start to pounce and try and go for the move? At the moment, there's a few moves going on currently, as we've seen a few position changes very early on, which is really, really good to see. As you can see there, Dom's made up 1 spot, obviously Dettel making up 3, and Verdi making up 2 as well, and Mr. Chris losing 3 positions at the moment. We are going into lap number 2, and we are going to start to see the DRS enabled very shortly, as Thomas does set the fastest lap with a 1:31.949 on those hard compound tyres. So we will probably see that time change at the moment, but we're actually already starting to see the top 4 fly away with a 1.3 second gap between S95 Dome and Mattia Magna, Andy. Yeah, definitely a big change to see the gap very early on in this race on lap 3 with Dom to Mattia Magna, and then obviously everyone behind him. He looks like he is following a train of cars, and then there's another gap there between Brent as well. So gaps are starting to fill, and then you've also got Mr. Chris, and there's a gap there as well. So we're seeing a lot of gaps early on in this race, and we're seeing the top 4 though keep very close together at the moment, and as you can see, very difficult to make overtakes. Braking points have to be on point here, as you are so close with the car in front and behind as well, so you need to take into account of those cars. Will we see that gap start to form? We'll get closer through the closing or through the stages of the race on lap 3 out of 31 at the moment. At the moment, it doesn't look like it's 1.4, but keep an eye on it, and then keep an eye on also the gap between 1.3 between Brent and S95 Dom, because Liam Hardman is on the pounce. He's in P6 at the moment. He is in McLaren. He is in the mix of that gap. We still have the top 4, and it's still Luca now leading the way, as we probably will see another change going on at the moment. So hard compound tyres against the mediums are doing pretty well. He's still in P2 currently, but there you go. First penalty of the night goes to Denisi. Now coming on to lap 4, Luca still leading the race. Yes. I would say I would say so. I think it's going to be real tight. Obviously, you'll see Thomas, Gavrish, and obviously the two of Verdi and Lucas staying on those hard compound tyres. I don't think they'll change. I don't think we may not see any changes here. We'll have to wait and see. That incident that's happened there with Denisi is actually easy to do. Coming out into sector 3 on that last corner, if you lose the back end, you just lose the car. The car just turns the other way. So, and I think that's what he's done. I think he's lost the back end and he's gone straight into the wall, unfortunately. And yeah, it's one of those ones which is it a setup issue? Is he put the power on too early? And you know, it's very interesting at the moment. But currently, Luca in P1, BRT Thomas in P2, and GTM Philly. Last week, you did not have the best at all after disconnecting and then reconnecting and disconnecting. Good to see him in the lobby. Good to see his connection right on point. And in P3 at the moment, they are your top 3. And are we seeing anyone to the pit? I do not think we're going to. Still too early, Andy. this is Singapore. This is going to be an interesting one. We're not going to see a safety car. You got it right last week, Andy, on your prediction, but we're seeing one already on lap 4, going into lap 5. Now, the question is, though, if Liam Hardman has done this to a T and he can stay within formation behind, not fight the cars and just, you know, ease into it, then he will take the lead of this race, because these guys all do have to pit from P10 all the way down to P1, up to P1. So unless those tyres, you know, go the distance, Liam Harmon could have done an absolutely outrageous strategy here that could end up winning him the race, or he could end up cooking his tyres and falling back further from P11 from where he is at the moment. So I think this is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye out on, that Liam Harmon in the P11. Well, letting the tyres go the distance a little bit more again now is better for Liam Hardman currently, because he's decided to change it up a little bit, change the strategy, and go onto those high compound tyres now. And we're seeing another lap in the safety car, so it's just helping him in this race. And we'll have to wait and see what happens, as I have lost GTM Philly again, unfortunately. So I've sent him an invite, so hopefully we can get the guy back in. But yeah, going to be, like I said, going to be very interesting. Keep an eye out on Liam Hardman. He's gone for a different strategy. It's gone probably a little bit longer than some of the guys expected. And these guys are going to have cold tyres, maybe going into the restart as well, and cold tyres on a narrow track. There's a lot of fundamentals to look out for. I still think we're going to see a few little bangs here and there. Are we going to see another safety car? Indeed, that's a prediction I'm going to let you go away with. Obviously, last week you got it right, and I got it wrong. So let's go with your prediction this week. Do you think we're going to see another one? I'm going for confidence for these guys this weekend. I'm going for confidence. Don't let me down, guys. Right, well, Luca's gone, and he's gone very early there, and BRT Thomas is he's not caught napping. He's still got 5.5 tenths, but Mattia behind him, he's not napping, and he's going to come under extreme pressure from Ismail going into the restart there. Ismail tries to get the job done, stays in behind at the moment, but that is just left a little bit of a gap. There was a gap earlier on that we saw in the race, and now there's a gap now. How quick is it going to be before Mattia does fill in that gap at 9.5 tenths, which really does help Thomas at the moment. But Ismail right behind. We do have a move going on there as Verdi does get past NASCAR, and the smoke, we were talking about this being announced earlier on with EA dropping that out and putting smoke if they lock the brakes, the smoke is going to be so difficult for these cars to see. So visibility will be changing onto a few corners. So keep an eye out on that smoke and watch the guys try and make evasive action because they can't see and they've not got their goggles on to go and look through that smoke at the moment. But Manga still falling back a second at the moment. He was 9/10, I think, by turn 6, and he's 1.1. He does not want to let this fall back even further because he is going to come under pressure from Ismail going up to the DRS. Ismail will probably look to make the move very, very quickly. So 1.2 now is the gap, and this could cause problems very early on in this race for Mattia. Not what something really wanted there for Mattia or Ismail as well. Ismail's going to really have to pull that back in, and I think he'll want a safety car for the whole dynamics of this race to change again. Lap 8 out of 31, still a lot of laps to go in this race, and also you can see a lot more hard compound tyres onto those mediums. And the question is, these guys still have to pit as well. You have got every single one all the way down to Liam Hardman. So from P1 down to P9 all have to pit, and I'll tell you something, the Ferraris had a great start there. P7 and P9, they've made up some serious places, so really good job by them at the moment. But this gap, 1.7, dropping it down from 2.2 to now 1.8, so he is dropping it down, but is he going to be able to do it in time? We can see the pace that he's got there already because he's dropped 5.5 times on Mattia as well, but Mattia is still in with that DRS and that will pull him back in. Going out in the front though, BRT Thomas and Luca just having a little battle of themselves, their own race, but BRT Thomas is not close enough to Luca at the moment. Does have that DRS to help him there, but that smoke, that might be putting him off, and the only person you can blame is the person that mentioned about changing it, because I never knew anything about it from the get-go until they announced it the other day, and it is absolutely ludicrous. You just cannot see if the car in front of you brakes, as you're seeing a lot of brake checking here, well, brake blocking here for BRT Thomas, that smoke then fades all the way through to the next car behind, and if you go through it, you just can't see. So making the visibility of Ismail very, very difficult in that P3 position, and also Luca making it very, very difficult for visibility for Thomas when he brakes. So everyone's in the same position, and thumbs up to the guy that turned around and said that we needed an update on the smoke. So yeah, back to you. Yeah, I think he's got a lot. I think he's got a lot enough, longer enough straight there to make the move, and he will make the move there. And we can see as well, also in a few of those areas and some of those sector zones there, that BRT Thomas has got better grip, and those tyres are now start to form as well. BRT Thomas will be on the quicker tyre as well, so he will be on the mediums. So, and the other guys will be on the slower tyres. So he has probably tuned this to perfection at the moment. He's now actually pulled 7.5 temps gaps as well. So as those tyres starting to fall off for Luca at the moment, it looks like BRT Thomas has nailed his strategy currently at the moment. Very, very difficult to get the move going on in the basically the first part of the main straight with the DRS zone. Not really enough of the straight, and then obviously in that sector 2 a lot more area there, so to get the move done, and he did. Very easily done there. Verdi, I've been keeping an eye on Verdi at the moment. Verdi is getting very, very close to Snipes, but he keeps going off track. Now, I think he needs to be careful because he will be looking at a penalty. The two Ferraris and the two teammates doing a really good job there in P7 and P8 in the points currently at the moment. Obviously, NASCAR with the only 3-second time penalty. I spoke too soon, and as we call that, a commentator occurs. Mr. Chris has now got a 3-second time penalty as well. He is at the points currently at the moment, and NASCAR is obviously got 3 seconds as well, but everyone's so close to him, so he'll drop out the points. Liam Hardman, the last car currently at the moment in that P10 position for points, who is right behind NASCAR, does know he's got that penalty, so he probably won't find him too much. But at the moment, the gap between Ismail and Luca just does not seem to be dropping at all. And yeah, such a shame, because it looks like it's going to be a very interesting battle that he's going to have behind him, just holding those guys up. I don't think he's going to be able to make ground on P1 and P2, unfortunately, Andy, in this race. Yeah, it's such a shame, and also to G10 Philly as well, connections all the way back there, 22 seconds behind, it's 95 dome, you know, and that's such a shame. And yeah, Liam Harmon's race could be over before we even start. NASCAR getting another penalty, now that's 6 seconds to him. We're seeing Verdi getting very, very close. Obviously, Lucas and Verdi, are they going to make a little bit of a shake and bake on Snipes? That's going to be the question here. We're looking at the two Ferraris. Looks like Verdi's going to make the move. Is Verdi going to hold him up so he gets his teammate through? Let's have a look. Nope, it looks like it's a sandwich. Kick Sally in the middle of the two Ferraris. We've got Gavroche, though, who has made a move on Mattia up into P4, and we do have a safety car, and it looks like Mr. Chris, someone has lost it into the wall with a little bit of debris there, and it's Brent. Is Brent lost it? Because he looks like the furthest one back. So has he had a bit of a spin? Has he lost a bit of damage? Just trying to keep an eye on the Red Bull driver there. No, he's pretty good. So I don't know, he may have just had a little bit of a spin. But both Red Bulls really struggling, P13 and P14. Gavroche, though, the two Haas is doing a great job this tonight at round 3 at Singapore. Luca in P2 and Gavroche both on 2 different strategies. So one will come in sooner than the other, which helps them in this race and for major points. But currently at the moment it's BRT Thomas and Luca in P2 and Ismail in P3. And Ismail has decided to call it early and get himself a little bit all over the place going into the pits there. And yeah, he's the first person to go pull the mediums off and get onto those high compact tyres. Yeah, they are losing more and more time now. Like you said, 3.5 between the two passes, between Gavroche and Luke, and then a little bit further down there as well, 1.7. So, and the problem is when you lose that gap, you've got to try and build that gap back up, and it's extremely difficult here too because the DRSs aren't really that powerful. It's a very narrow track. It is bumper to bumper on some corners, and it's just difficult to get. So it's going to be very interesting to see though where Ismail will come out when all these guys decide to pit. That's going to be the interesting part next, because currently at the moment, if I'm looking at pit stops, we do have all the top 6 still to come out, still to pit, sorry. So, and we do have mixed strategies up there as well at the top. You've got 2 mediums now with Snipes and Luca, and BRT Thomas doing a great job starting on those hards all the way from the get-go. And currently is 31 seconds in front of GTM Philly, and the guy that's just pitted is 28 seconds in front. So yeah, he's looking pretty good at the moment, BRT Thomas. Yeah, 100%. I do want to give a bit of a shout out though to Snipes, and I don't know if he's doing this because he's behind these guys and he's using the DRS to maintain his position at the moment. But he's on 15 lap mediums. He does have about 3 seconds, which is going to hurt him. Unfortunately, he's not really going to get a penalty at all. But he is on those 15 laps and he's going again. So he's pushing them really. He is pushing them a lot, and he's doing a great job. He is 5.5 tenths, so watch that gap. He's keeping behind Verdi and Gavroche at the moment, as Verdi gets very, very close to Gavroche as well. He even goes for the move on the left-hand side, doesn't get the move done. We could see a move going very, very quickly here between Gavroche and Verdi. Verdi right behind. That's bringing Snipes in with the DRS as well, and here comes Verdi on the left-hand side, has to shoot. I think he's gone straight into the back of Gavroche there. Didn't know which way to go. I don't know if Gavroche moved under braking. That may be looked at by the stewards of WOR. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But Verdi, does he have serious damage to that front wing? Is that going to help Snipes again? As Snipes is right behind there. Seems all intact, but we don't know if that is orange damage or green damage or anything like damage, which will definitely hurt him here, because you need that turning ability here in Singapore. It's such a narrow track. But Snipes, I've got to say it right now, doing a phenomenal job. 16 lap mediums, only car out on those medium compound tyres, and he's in P4, but he does have a 2.8 second gap. Well, there's a 5.5 second gap there between him and Luca, and then Dell is 2.7 seconds down the road. So I reckon we are going to see him come in. He's going again. God, the guy has obviously got very, very good tyres at the moment, Andy. Yeah, he is. And there you go, he's in. Snipes has decided to change it, and then obviously you've got the other Ferrari continuing at the moment. Obviously, 30 getting a 10 seconds, speeding in the pit lane. That is, well, that could be race done and out of the points. Very unfortunate there for both kicks. Albie's getting a penalty at the moment. Keeping an eye on the man of P8 of Ismail, who did go early into the pits. He's come into P5 at the moment. He's 9 seconds behind Brent on those old hard tyres. But the gap between him and the leader is 23. So it was 28 and it's now 23. So he is making time. Question is, what is Thomas doing? How long is Thomas going to be going on those hard compound tyres? As we can also see Dome and also Brent as well on those hard compound tyres as well. But they've actually stopped. So this is going to be interesting. They're on less tyre degradation and they will end up taking the lead of this race. So this is going to be interesting. This strategy is going to change a lot. But Ismail is gaining. It looks like he's gaining a second a lap at the moment. So keep an eye on that. Also sandwiched in the middle between the two Hasses is Luca and obviously Gavroche, where they've got Natia Manga right in the middle there. But the gaps, to be honest with you, are quite big compared to what we saw earlier on. As we do see Lucas coming into the pits of Ferrari, Verdi going last time, and Lucas coming out now. So give a bit of an interesting thought of how far away Verdi is to his teammates. So there you go, you've got Lucas coming out the pits now, Verdi coming down the main straight, and he looks like he's going to tuck right behind GT and Philip. Interesting. I'm not sure. We saw him on the mediums, didn't we? And I think he did 17 laps on the medium. So you would probably think yes, but we know the soft compound tyre is literally just a 5-lap tyre on some areas, and then in some areas it's not. So it's going to be very interesting at the moment as the two, as everyone I think has now pitted, and obviously these penalties are going to bring a bit of a problem for Snipes as well, but he does have Verdi and Philly behind on those with a penalty as well. The one thing for me is the gaps that are forming. If you look at the top two, they're pretty close together between Dome and Brent, and they'll probably maybe stop again. We'll have to wait and see. But then there's a gap between obviously Luca. He's 5 seconds behind them. Ismail up into P4. Has he timed this to perfection? It looks like he may have, because he's just about to get onto the DRS of Luca. And then you've got BRT Thomas on those medium compound tyres. So some strategies here, which is very interesting. A little bit of a mixture of tyres, especially with one guy on the soft compound tyres. Very interesting between those two as well, and Ismail is ready to pounce on those a little bit older tyres than Luca, so Luca will feel the pressure, but he won't feel the pressure too much, just with not getting that 3-second time penalty, which is not what he wants at the moment. He's on the 5 laps, so 2 laps fresher than Ismail, but Ismail's got those attempts, so will he be able to gain? BRT Thomas though is right on the tail on those mediums, and he looks very, very quick as he does do the fastest lap of a 1:28.432. I think we are going to see BRT Thomas really start to pounce, and it looks like he's going to start making the move, as he's even gone faster in sector 1 already. I think all it may have just been his time. Look at how close he is, barely getting a 3-second time penalty. BRT Thomas getting a lot more grip, going for the move now for the P4, which could turn into a podium position as BRT Thomas is on the right hand side. Ismail does back into formation behind, but BRT Thomas is on the pounce, and he's now, his next target is Luca in P3 position. 2 lap mediums against 6 lap hards. We saw earlier on BRT Thomas go for those hard compound tyres, take them the longest in, doing a great job on them, staying in the podium position. Now he's on the medium compound tyres, and the guy looks like he is ready to pounce again and take P3. We're just going to keep on board here for the DRS phone. Does he get the job? Does he get the traction? Is he quick enough with the DRS? Doesn't seem to. It means that Luca's going to have another corner or another couple of corners, but Andy, I'm still going to stay on this because BRT Thomas looks like he is ready to get this move done and get on with his race, and he will be around about 2.7 seconds behind Dome, and I'm sure he will rein that gap in on 17 lap hard. Here we go, coming into the final corner, starting up to lap 23. Does he get the job done? Look at the traction he gets there, gets a bit of move. Still can't get the job done. I think it's going to be the next DRS zone, Andy. I'll still keep with him because it's ready to happen. I'm getting ready for it. BRT Thomas ready to bounce. Is he going to get the job done this time? It looks like Luca is harvesting that battery, saving a little bit more to try and get away from BRT Thomas. Doesn't look like it's going to be done. He's a lot closer this time. 71%. Here he goes. Engages the DRS. Engages the DRS to get the move done. And he's got it done after a couple of laps. BRT Thomas up in the P3. Back to you, Andy. Yeah, and this is going to bring the other guys in, and we've got another one, and Snipes has lost it. I think he's lost it in the wall there, unfortunately. He obviously missed the breaking point. Yep, or the runoff area, or... Yeah, that's an interesting one there. I don't know if that's going to be an investigation by the stewards, but he's lost it. I don't know if it's the runoff area or he's been to... Oh, BRT Thomas gets so much more traction and bit of grip coming out the corner, and then he goes into the back of Dome. Now the question is, on this one, Andy, it's all right having the cars in front, but another thing about passing. This then brings in the other guys of Luca and Ismail right behind. If BRT Thomas doesn't get this right, but he is already trying to get the move done, and he's got it up into P2. Now it's going to take Luca and Ismail to get past. As you can see, Dome and Brent are going to be so much slower than these cars, but how good can they defend? And can they defend? Because BRT Thomas is all over the back of Brent now, trying to get that move done. And in this section, it's going to be so difficult to get the job done. Will he make the move going into the hairpin in Sector 2? Let's have a look here. No, he makes a little bit of a mistake, losing the grip on losing the back end. He's right on the back of Brent going into the next part of the DRS, stays in behind. I think it's going to be the good straight going on to the first part of the DRS, but he's under pressure from the other guys behind. So BRT Thomas is not in the clear at the moment, Andy. No, I've got to admit, the two guys on those old tyres, Dome and Brent, doing a phenomenal job holding on as much as they can. Ismail trying to get the move done on his teammate as well, and this is going to be very interesting to see. But what a move there from Dome, trying to keep the lead, but just won't be able to hold them up because they just are on a lot more fresher tyres, but doing a really, really good position. And they've got to be really careful because Gavroche is now 7.5 tenths and he's bringing a load of cars. Have Brent and Dome brought the whole pack back into this race? And that is the question that we're going to probably, that will remain. But it doesn't look like it because BRT Thomas has checked out. He said, I'm done, I'm fed up battling you guys, I'm off. But this is a great so far position for the Alpines. Will Dome be able to hold on? That's going to be the question. With around about 4.5 laps remaining, Ismail ready to pounce on those 12-lap mediums. Will the mediums go off though before Ismail's tyres? That is going to be the other question as well. 2.6, remember that gap. We've also got Luca very, very close there. Gavroche looked like he may have lost a few positions there because he was very, very close. I think he was behind his teammate, and he's now 2 spots less as Ismail does make the move on his teammate. Is there team orders here? No. No, they're not. We're having, just like in real life with Gasly and Ocon, not fighting each other. Ismail does get the position done, but Dome did not make that easy for him. And, well, you'd think this is teammates working together. Unfortunately, not on that corner. Luca, 1.1, does not want to hold him up for long there. So Dome does not want to hurt Ismail because Luca's right behind him on fresher tyres. I wouldn't be likely to see here that Dome will lose that P3 position. Those tyres, I just don't think are going to hold it out. But BRT Thomas, 4 seconds in front. I think it's game over for Ismail. Yeah, well, we were talking earlier on about them. Obviously, they're in 2 different positions at the moment, Verdi in P4, and obviously Lucas in P9. Verdi does have that penalty as well, so he will drop back a few places at the moment. Luca in a really, really good position to try and put it on even on the podium if he can get close to Dome, because Verdi is not helping Luca's position at the moment. 6.5 tenths behind Verdi, and Verdi is 1.2. Behind, and he doesn't seem to be gaining on Dome either as well. So Dome doing a really good job here, but those tyres are going to start to go off. Still 5.2 seconds between Ismail and Thomas, and Ismail's strategy has worked to a treat. Obviously pitted early and he's put himself on the podium, so I'll be pretty happy with that. If Dome can continue what he's doing and Verdi does not catch him, which I think could be very unlikely, but like I said, very difficult to overtake here. It's normally better than being in front to defend. Then what a race from the Alpine guys, but I don't think so, because now I've just looked in the corner. Verdi is 5.5 tenths, but he's bringing everyone else into it on some older tyres and some fresher tyres. So there's a mixture on tyre age at the moment with 3 laps remaining, Andy. Yeah, it's going to look like it's going to keep switching up between the Haas and the Ferrari there. Dome, another lifeline, another lap that's gone. Good defending. It was slow in a few of those areas. Verdi getting a little bit frustrated. It looked like he was going to send it on the left-hand side, but fought against it. Dome really doing well to defend. Is he going to be able to defend with a 2.9 second gap in front of him? It doesn't look like he is, as Verdi is right on the wheels and right on the back. He just can't find a move, but this is the DRS, and this is going to give him an advantage now. Luca, 7.5 tenths. He's going to come under pressure from Mario Manga, who has been very impressive in this race compared to last week. And there you go, Verdi going on the outside. Is Dome going to try and defend again? Yes, he does a little bit. No, but he stays within formation. Now, Luca has got to try and come back. But I've noticed something with Luca's car. He's lost the front right plate. He had a great week last week, and it doesn't look like he could be on the podium this week. And he's going to come under extreme pressure from Mario Manga, who has all of his car intact. And as you can see now, he is really struggling, and you definitely need every single piece of your car in this race. As we can see, Mario Manga, 2.5 tenths. Going to the closing stages, the Haas were very, very close together. Gavroche still there. He caused a bit of a problem. We'll have to wait and see. Mario Manga, I'm looking on board him at the moment. Dome still keeping close to Verdi. That gap between the leader and Ismail is definitely gone. Looks like BRT Thomas's race unless anything happens within the closing stages. Mario Manga, though, ready to pounce. Let's see how Luca manages. He does manage at the moment. He's got another lap, but I would look to see Mario Manga try and make the move, depending on if Luca can stay within the DRS of Dome, or if Luca can get the move done on Dome. That's going to be the question going on for one more lap of this race, Andy. Yeah, it did look like a little bit of contact, though. I don't know how the steward's going to take that. I don't know if he did force Dome out of position. We'll have to wait and see, because he's done a fantastic job there. And obviously Gavroche as well. He was so close, but he actually had a bit of a mistake right at the end, and that pushed him back into a 1.7, pushed it back into a second here. Are we going to have anything going on in the closing stages here? It definitely looks like Thomas has won this race, but is Mario Manga going to cause a bit of a strain on the works? He's getting very close to Lucas. We're going into the final stages. We've seen two cars go side by side on the last corner. I think Lucas got it. Look how close he is. And there's been an incident going on earlier on, and he does get the job done, but look at that. Maria Maya was 0.663 to Luca's rear on the last corner. You could see how close it was between him and Maria Maya. But what a drive from BRT Thomas as well. Fantastic night for him. Ismail there in P2. Luca taking a podium. He'll be happy with that. 2 podiums in 2 weeks, maybe or 3 weeks. I have to wait and see. Mario Mango, really good performance from him from last week. Dome, great job even finishing in P5 to stand on those 27 lap pads. And unfortunately, I missed the rest. Yeah, definitely. I think obviously when BRT Thomas got onto those medium tyres, he just then checked out. He just looks so much more quicker than some of the others. We'll have to wait and see if obviously um, if there's going to be any stewards or incidents at the moment. Obviously, BRC Thomas and Ismail will not be coming in for an interview. I'm just waiting on Luca. There's replied, see if he will be jumping in to have a chat with us. If not, then we will talk a little bit more about the summary. But yeah, no, really good night for BRT Thomas. Obviously, yeah, something to go over with the Alpines if they're being engineered or team principal or however it works. Over here at WOR, there'll be an interesting conversation. I don't think one of them will be sending the other one a Christmas card this year. Yes, I don't know if Ismail would have been able to pull that gap from BRT Thomas if he was let through. That would be the question. But the question is as well, Dome's got to let him through in a safe manner as well. You can't just let him through, just move out the way, especially when you've got everyone behind you as well. But a really, really good ending. Normally, obviously, we're on board the leaders and that, but going obviously in that mid-pack there for that podium position, Dome just could not hold on. I think it maybe looked at the stewards. I'll have to wait and see, obviously, how that's going to go. There was a little bit of contact there between Luca and Dome. Did he force him off his racing line? Did he cause him damage? That'll be the question there, because he has every right to defend. And he did. He defended for a long period of time. Even against Verdi. Verdi obviously didn't get the job done either, so that was very unfortunate there. But it doesn't look like, unfortunately, we're having interviews only again for the second week in a row. Unfortunately, guys don't want to talk to us. But all in all, a great race. Yeah, I think they are. All in all, a great race, and I think BRT Thomas, Luca will be very, very happy with that result, along with Ismail. Viva Las Vegas. Yeah, I think we obviously got the prediction wrong this week, both of us, which was very interesting. There was no safety cars; there was only one. So great job from everyone. Obviously, such a difficult track to maintain, but they did. They maintained it, and obviously going into next week, the of Las Vegas down the strip, and even the last corner as well. There's going to be a lot of overtakes, and the toe is going to be absolutely outrageous. So a difficult track though. Not a lot. I would say not a lot of these drivers have raced here. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the setups are going to bring. And is BRT Thomas going to be able to do the double? You know, this is the one thing that we haven't seen yet. No one do the double, so we'll have to wait and see there. And I think we're going to see a lot of overtakes, and I think turn one is going to be very interesting, as it's quite a slippery track. And if you don't get your braking points right there or your turning ability, you will hit the wall. So yeah, Vegas, I'm looking forward to. Yeah, definitely. And also going into that strip straight as well, if you don't take that corner going into sector three as well, it's an easy invalidation. I reckon a lot of the guys will try and skip across that curb and get the exit close to the wall to then get away. But then you've then also got that toe going across that line because it actually curves round. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be battles. I think it's going to be continuous battles. I think we are going to see very, very similar to what we saw in Coda. We'll see that domino effect where the person will change and then the other person, and then it will change again. And if the person behind in that P3 position has got a long enough, it is right behind P2, the toe that they can get from P2, they can actually go straight past and get into the lead into P1 as well. So going to be interesting. Breaking points are going to have to be on point. I think if the toe goes a bit too much and you think that you're a speeding bullet, you'll end up going into the runoff area as well, and you do not want to do that. So I think we're going to see a lot of overtakes in Las Vegas. It's going to be very interesting as well because it's not straight on how it starts. So every single car will be on an angle going into the first corner because the grid straight actually moves all the way around. So the last car will be on an angle going around the corner. So yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I have not seen much racing there at Vegas, and then obviously a couple of days later it is the Vegas Grand Prix for the real Formula One as well. So great time to come. It's also Vegas as well on the same day as the Grand Prix in my league as well. So yeah, it's a Vegas showdown if you want to call it as that. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a great night. BRT Thomas, mate. Congratulations to the podium winners of BTR, Ismail and Luca. I'm still trying to not laugh over your last comment regarding the strip. No, we will not be on the strip. We will be in the comms box. I would love to be there. But yeah, it's going to be a great week of racing. It's been a really, really good night as well. Obviously, with mixed conditions going from the wet to the dry. Obviously, wet in qualifying and then dry. And we saw a complete mixture of times as well, which is really good, and that's what sim racing is all about as well. Shows that equal variety when you get onto wet conditions, and then when you get onto the dries, we really then do see who is the quickest on track as well. So yeah, no, great job for BRT Thomas. Will someone be able to do it on the bounce next week in Vegas? We'll have to wait and see. But no, it's been a great night. Look forward to seeing you in Vegas in the comments box, but not on the strip.